The next session is going to start. Roland and I have had the pleasure of knowing each other since the beginning of his foray into gambling, so I'm excited to see his presentation and all the progress that he's made. Here you go.
Thanks, Brock. Can everybody hear me okay? If not, yeah, good, okay. So it's the afternoon. I'm getting tired. I'm sure some of you are as well, so I'll try to keep it nice and brief. Before I get into it, could I just ask how many people here in the room are actually building a social casino, let's say, in the last 15 months? Are there any entrepreneurs? 1, 2, probably from the same company. Same company, okay. And what about gambling? 3, okay, all right. What about the gambling and real money casino? Has anyone built something in the last 15 months? Real money, nobody yet. 1 person, okay, all right. That really sets the scene for my first. My slides are a little bit tuned more towards entrepreneurs, but I tried to put a lot of economics in it, since that's the title of my presentation. So Playtika today, this morning, started out with, they had a convergence and they say no. And I guess for us, we're in the camp where we think this is actually one of the biggest opportunities for new entrepreneurs in the gaming space. So you may have seen this slide before. Not going to drill into it too much. We see a huge opportunity in converting 200 million social casino players from Facebook to real money players. And when we say convergence, we have to define what that means. I mean, when I hear people say convergence has not happened, I mean, real money casinos in the UK are already spending lots of money on Facebook ads. So doesn't that already mean that some of these people are converging? So I think it's a very interesting topic to us. But I think as an opportunity to an entrepreneur coming into the space, this is the thing that's most exciting. And by that I mean, because as an entrepreneur, when we put our energy into a new business, we might as well address a large market and something that can be a big company, because the energy we put in is probably the same, whether it's a large market or a small market. So that's kind of my view on this world. So we have social casinos. It's about $2.5 billion market. And it's very crowded. I think some other presenters today already said there's thousands, or maybe even tens of thousands of social casino companies in that space. And 40%, I think, of that market is owned by Playtika, IGT, and somebody else. So they own a large chunk of that market. So that's a tough one. If you're just starting a new company, going into that one seems difficult, Then you have the real money casino, much bigger. The real money casino market is much bigger. It's a bigger market, $40 billion. And you actually have, in my opinion, fewer competitors. And that maybe we can limit that discussion only to white competitors. Maybe if you look at the gray market, that's different. But if you look at white, I would argue there's less products in that space than real and social casinos. And I think it's the real money casino market where disruption is pending, as I like to say. And the reason for that is, I think in that market, the companies that exist are very large, very profitable already, and have had to focus very little on innovation. Because they didn't, they're already making money, so why actually innovate? I was at the ICE conference, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, and some of the real money operators actually said in the session, we look at social casinos as sort of an R&D mechanism for our products. And I think what they're trying to say is they know social casinos are flexible, innovative, they move fast, they have analytics, none of these things which real money guys have. So they're just sort of like watching it. And I think there's been some acquisitions, but I think most of them are still on the fence and are still trying to decide whether to actually really seriously enter the space. So we're betting on the real money market in terms of our company. So if we talk about gaming in general, to me it's all about entertainment. We often talk about where people spend their money. Is it on a competitive social casino or maybe a real money casino? Well, it's also other forms of entertainment. I mean, if people go watch a movie on the weekend, they're not going to play in our social casino. So it's actually, we're all in the entertainment business. And so we're just trying to sort of put that in the perspective. So in the movie industry, you obviously go watch a movie. If you go on a real money casino site, you place a bet. And if you're on a social game, you want to play with your friends. The one that's growing the fastest is obviously the social casino market, but it's still so much smaller than the real money market. And the real money market is also growing, sort of 10 to 30% per year, depending on which statistic you look at. So what does it actually look like if I'm a consumer of these three products? So if I go watch a movie, I basically buy content. I want to watch Man of Steel, buy my ticket, consume the content. Online casino, deposit, I want to win cash. I mean, that's the reason I deposit. I think it's just as simple as that. That's my motivation for going to a real money site. For a social casino, it's kind of the freemium, the leveling, the achievements. You know, we want to sort of compare yourself to your friends. That's kind of the three flows. So again, in terms of disruption, I think the big question is, can you actually build a product where you can attract both classes of players? So people who would like to buy content and like the leveling and gamification, but there's also those people who actually just want to deposit and win real money. And more importantly, can you change the mentality of a social player that in their head they actually understand, so hang on a minute, I'm buying £5, I get my free chips, and I still have £5 in my wallet. Well, that's interesting. How does that work? I mean, you know, I don't really get that on Facebook. Because let's not forget that on Facebook, very few, except in the UK, there's 4 or 5 of them, you can actually withdraw your real money. So I think that's a really interesting question, especially when you're sort of new startup in the space. So again, here we're just comparing ARPUs. I don't know about all of you, but ARPUs really confuse me, because every time you look at a press release, they always measure ARPUs differently. Sometimes it's per quarter, per day, per year. In this case, we're looking at yearly ARPUs. What I actually find really interesting is that Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, the ARPUs are tiny. It's $2 per player. Of course, they have the volume, and that's why they're big businesses. Spotify is actually close to $10, which is interesting. Then next, you have the social games, where I think, from what I hear, I think Double Down and maybe Hi-Fi is really the one that monetized the best, so they make about $40 ARPU per year. And then you have the movie industry, that's about $300. You can think about your own entertainment wallet, I guess, and see how much you spend on movies. And then you have gambling. Now, gambling is, of course, the highest. I think we all know that, but I think we have to put it into context, because you need a lot less volume in gambling to make the same amount of revenue than in a social game. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later on as well. But I think that's just an interesting way to look at ARPUs, you know, across different industries. So we've done a little bit of research on this. What we sort of found is, you know, social casinos tend to have 50 times more DAUs than real money casinos. Online casinos tend to have 30 times higher conversion than social casinos. And online casinos have up to 200 times higher daily ARPU. That's the daily ARPU. So that's kind of the characteristic of the market, if you like. So here we're comparing, basically, we just picked two. We picked bwin Party. It's one of the largest listed online real money casinos in the world. I think that's correct. And Playtika is, of course, representative of the new trend of social casinos. So let's maybe dig into the numbers a little bit. I think what sticks out here is the DAUs. I mean, bwin had about 27,000 daily active users. And that's nothing for social casinos. I mean, Playtika had 4.5 million. However, the revenue is, in this case, is actually higher for bwin. This is only bwin's casino business, so only casino business. It's actually comparable. So what this tells us is, actually, I need a lot less DAUs to generate the same revenue for these two markets, because I have a higher ARPU. So the ARPU for bwin is $35 per day. And for Playtika, it's 13 cents. So that's why it all works. One has a lot of volume, low ARPU. The other one has a lot less DAUs and basically a higher ARPU. The other interesting thing here is Playtika is so much more profitable. It's almost double the amount of profitability, so the EBITDA is about close to 40%. Although I think I would say it's kind of still in the honeymoon, it's getting more crowded. Let's see if it can maintain that in the coming years. So just some numbers here to think about. Let's stick with Playtika for a moment. If Playtika was actually a real money casino, I would argue it would be a $50 billion company. And that's revenue, not valuation. And that's only because if you apply the conversion metrics, it's just math. I guess if you apply the conversion metrics from real money to the social space, that's basically what you would get. Now, we all know that's not possible because of a variety of reasons. But what if? And I think that's an interesting question. And Facebook themselves are aware of the potential. You know, I think one of the reasons why the social casino market exists is because legislation has not permitted those companies to withdraw money. You know, otherwise it probably would be real money already. And I think Facebook would be a $100 billion revenue company, not valuation, if they would actually have real money games on their platform. Who knows what this is? Gangnam Style? Okay. So this, I'm going to get into virality a little bit. This video was viewed almost 2 billion times in the world. If that was unique views, that would be 1/3 of the total population of our planet who have seen this video. It's probably not unique views. And so virality has been discussed before. The reason why I want to bring it up again is because in the real money space, it doesn't exist. There's very little virality for real money casino. If you play 888 Casino, bwin, Bet365, William Hill, none of those products rely on virality. And as a result, you basically see huge amount of money being spent every year on marketing. And it's actually not going down. If anything, it goes up, maybe in a year. There was a casino called Mr. Green. It went public in Stockholm Exchange, I think, maybe 6 months ago. If you look at their P&L, you can actually see they spent 50% on marketing of their revenue. And the reason is because they have no virality. They haven't had these nice things that had, you know, Skype, Dropbox, Hotmail, Playtika in some sense, Double Down Casino. They've had virality to help them to get to the business that they are today. So again, I would argue that if you build a real money product that actually has some virality built in, which I think some of us are already trying to do, that's the exciting one. So we should really remember virality, not only the ARPUs and so on. Right, so this is actually our product. Been sort of development for about a year. We're just soft launching it now, and we're going to put a lot of volume behind it in the UK market. For our product, we've developed it in-house. We have our own gaming license. We have our own slot content. And we're very excited. We think it's an interesting new market to bring to players in the UK. And this is actually one of our slot games. It's called Legend of the Fairies. Really like it, so I stuck it on the slides. You can see that in the next coming months in the UK market. So I promise to be short. If you would like to email me, here's my email address. Always happy to compare notes or just generally hear new ideas. I'm happy to take any questions. Any questions at all? Brock usually asks the questions. He's not here anymore. Yep, I'll give you the mic.
What's the USPs of your new Slotomania slot game? What is it? The USP?
The USP. That's always a good question. Okay, well, first of all, I would argue that there is none or very few real money products. Let's just take the UK market currently in existence. And when I say real money product, I mean a product that's been built from the ground up to accommodate for players who want to buy chips and deposit real cash. It's a hard problem, as we've discovered ourselves. We actually wanted to launch this 6 months ago already, but the economy behind it is complex because you have to target to both players, so both the real money players and the social players. So that would be my basic answer to it. I think another thing we found is if you have your own content, you obviously have the advantages of a social casino. You can tune it, you can learn, you know, and I think that's quite important when you launch new products like this. But that's how I would answer it. Questions are coming.
Hi. Could you maybe say something about the payment trends in social and online casinos? So, like, how does money get into the system? Do you see there any changes, new payment methods coming up?
Social or real money?
Both, maybe?
Both. Well, for social, it's just Facebook payments, isn't it? Not much to talk about it there. I mean, for real money, what we've seen is 80% credit card in the UK. MasterCard, Visa card, debit and credit. If you have that 80-20 rule, you cover off most of your players. So I know there's other things, money bookers, PaySafeCard, and so on. But I think when you start, that's a good one to have. Rock's not here, but obviously Bitcoin is something interesting. So it works, you know. But I think credit cards is pretty safe to start off with.
And what do you think? Like all these new online wallets, will they gain significant market share, or will it still remain more on the credit card side? Or
Can you give an example of an online wallet in your definition?
yeah, whether you take Skrill or these kind of. I mean, it's not new anymore, but.
We tried Skrill.
VP.me, it's okay. It's credit card linked, but I think there's for sure coming up some more online wallets.
Yeah, I mean, the most successful one is probably PayPal, but you can't get PayPal as a startup because you need like 10 million pounds a month before you even talk to you. I mean, I think it's generally good. I mean, to give more choice to the player is generally good. Challenge with Skrill specifically might be just about making the user experience as best as possible. So Skrill has, I think, one of the products is like, it kind of has functionality where they show their own credit card screen to the player. I would actually not use that, but I would just, it basically, if we can determine that a player already has a Skrill wallet, and we then serve him the Skrill interface, that would be really good. That would be a smooth, yeah. So it's a lot about the player experience, I think.
Can you go a bit more in depth on the difficulties you have with making this game? Because you said you wanted to launch 6 months ago. I think you're running into problems then.
There's always problems. Yeah, I mean, it's what we found is it looked easy to make, but when you actually, it's kind of like as soon as you solve one problem, there's another problem. I mean, I can tell you initially we tried to license games for this product from the real money world, and that's difficult because the APIs are not set up really for this kind of a product. They're more for real money, so that's one problem. And then you have, as I said before, the whole thing with economy. So you kind of look at it and you say, okay, so how do you make this as simple as possible? Do you have like one currency or two currencies? And then do you convert between the two, or do you know, there's a lot of interesting debates we've had there. And it's ongoing. I mean, we have ongoing tuning of it, but I think those are the two that just come to mind. Then as a real money casino, you have these problems that real money casinos have to deal with: fraud, customer service, risk management, payments. It's just a lot to do. You know, if you launch a social casino, it is easier. It's easier. You just build your slots. They don't have to even be great slots. They don't have to look great or anything. You can build them, and then you will get some people using it. But when you get actually people to deposit money, everything has to be really good and, you know, competing with other real money casinos. That's what I would say. Bitcoin. Is it? Yes. I think we will look into that. Yes. Once we have a lot of other problems solved. That's why I was talking. I think it's really interesting, the Bitcoin for casino. So yes, we will be doing that, and I'll talk to you about that once we're ready to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you.